Hey guys, welcome back. Let's talk about a potential fight between Nick Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. Yes, you heard that right, Nick Diaz. The bigger, older Diaz was on the Ariel Helwani show, and he expressed interest in fighting Jorge Masvidal, avenging his younger brother's loss. The Masvidal team responded with a Scarface meme. Nick says his return in 2020 is up to Dana, so who knows? The bigger Diaz and Jorge Masvidal may lock up in the cage. Let's dive into how these guys match up. Nick Diaz is 6 feet tall, he has a 76-inch reach. His style is primarily boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu based. Great hands for MMA. He's a Cesar Gracie 3rd degree black belt in BJJ. He's been competing since 2001. His MMA record is 26 wins, 9 losses, 2 no contests. Nick is a true veteran of the sport. He's competed in the UFC, Pride, Strikeforce, Elite XC, WEC, Dream, and Shudo. He's the former welterweight champ in Strikeforce and WEC, and he's had a lengthy and storied career. He's fought a who's who, been around forever. He's an any given Sunday fighter. When he's at his best, he's capable of beating anybody put in front of him. Jorge Gamebred Masvidal is 5'11" with a 74-inch reach. He's also a super veteran of the sport, been fighting since 2003. His MMA record is 35 wins, 13 losses. Just like Nick, his record consists of a who's who. He's a very well-rounded fighter, exciting, tries to go for the finish. Right now, Masvidal's on a 3-fight win streak, starting with a knockout of Darren Till. Then he defeats Askren via KO. Spectacular flying knee, and in his last fight, he bested Nate Diaz. Masvidal may be the fighter of the year for 2019. He's the winner of the BMF belt, a one-shot deal, and ranked number 3 in the UFC welterweight rankings. So the matchup, how does Jorge Masvidal and the older, bigger Diaz brother, Nick Diaz, match up in the cage? Well, in essence, Nick Diaz is pretty much everything that Nate is, fights virtually the same. He has the same attributes, great boxing for MMA, fantastic cardio, top-notch BJJ game, virtually the same weaknesses as Nate, does get hit, does take damage to inflict damage, not the strongest takedowns. Nick is almost a carbon copy of Nate, except bigger and stronger, with more experience at a higher level in my opinion. Can Jorge Masvidal do the same thing that he did to Nate to Nick? I absolutely think so, but he's going to have a way tougher time beating Nick Diaz. This is almost a pick'em fight. Nick does have the capability to stop Jorge, to beat him via submission, via strikes. He is capable, he is that good. But I think right now Jorge has hit his peak, his absolute prime. He really figured out his own game. He's on some crazy stride right now in trajectory. Nick has pretty much been out for 5 years now. Ring rust is a real thing. It is different for each individual and fighter. It affects some more than others, but regardless of that, 5 years is a long time to be out of the game. Jorge has been consistent, he's been sharp. I think you kind of have to give the edge to Jorge Masvidal. How I see this fight playing out, actually very similar to the Nate Diaz fight for Jorge. I think Masvidal is going to mix it up, use great footwork, stuff Nick's takedown attempts, work Nick's body just like he did to Nate, because they fight so similar and have the same strengths and weaknesses. But Jorge's going to have a tougher time because Nick is the bigger, more experienced, and I think tougher Diaz brother. He's also more craftier than Nate, and if the fight goes to the mat, I think Masvidal has to be very careful because he definitely would be in danger of being out jiu-jitsu'd and submitted. On the feet, if Nick boxes Jorge against the cage, cuts him off, cuts his movement off, things could get dicey for Masvidal there as well. Jorge can't allow himself to get boxed in back against the cage because that's where Nick clinches up with you, saps your energy, does work with dirty boxing, and works his takedowns. Ultimately, I think Masvidal would win this fight. It would be a war. It's almost a pick'em, but I think Jorge would edge it out. So final pick, Jorge Masvidal, probably winning via decision. Some other things to consider, Nick Diaz's cardio. It's always been top notch, but as Masvidal says himself, when have you ever seen him gas? I don't think is going to play a huge factor. But that's going to wrap up this short breakdown video, guys. You let me know who you think will win this fight if they do match up in the cage. It will be crazy exciting if they do. It's almost like a kung fu movie. The older brother stepping in to avenge the younger brother. Thanks for watching the segment. If you enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, like and share the video. It helps the channel grow. Truly appreciate all of you guys. And until the next segment, take care.